and you building that relationship up front. You're gonna be 50-50 on like especially on the financial aspect, at least. But on the first date, if she doesn't offer to pay, don't ask to pay for it unless you don't have the resources. But
Right.
and also you shouldn't be afraid to ask if you don't have, but especially if it's an expensive date, because you don't want to go broke on your first date.
So that definitely, yeah, that comes back to the first date, right? So the first date shouldn't really be particularly expensive.
Good morning, everybody. This is Michael. Welcome back to Shots of Info. It's December 29, almost 2020 is almost over. Just a quick disclaimer: this is a conversation between me and Randy. So anything in this podcast shouldn't be taken seriously, especially on the financial section.
All right. Sweet. So let's jump into some of the topics. Well, I'm getting a lot of feedback from your end. All right, hold on. I think it's fine now. All right. So in terms of topics, we have on the personal development, who should pay on the first date? So that's, going to be an interesting one. On the fitness, we have how to become a personal trainer. And on the finance, we have trading commodities versus companies and news updates at the end. All right. Let's get the show on the road. So Mike, who pays on the first date?
All right. Stereotypical, the man pays on the first date. Actually, most of the dates I have been to, I usually end up paying on the first dates, unless the girls ask to pay for it. And if she asks for it, I'll be like, okay, cool, you can pay for it. I wouldn't say no.
Like pay for the full date or half of it?
Half.
Half.
Split.
She's never going to pay full.
Well, what's up?
So she's never really going to always pay in full.
Yeah, she's never going to pay full. It's always going to be half. And to be honest, that's the ideal thing. Like if she offers to pay for half, my guy, take it. Trust me. You don't want to spoil like your like from the beginning. But it's just let's say, okay, so I feel like if you invited her out, so if you're interested, you invited her out, then you should pay you should pay for it, because it's your first date, whatever. You want to take her out, you want to treat her. Now, another thing too, if you guys go into multiple places, then you should split the bill differently. So that's another thing too, because usually my dates include few activities, not just one.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, for a first date, it's, well, depending on the type of date, it's usually in one location, right? Initially. And then if there's a second date, then that usually ends up being in multiple locations or something like that. But yeah, I'd say depending on who asked who, that's the person that would probably be in charge of the bill. But sometimes a woman asks you, right? Because you're not making the first move and she's interested, or you don't know about her, but she knows about you and she decides to make the first move. So, I would say that maybe if she offers to pay for it, great. But usually it's going to come down to you to pay for it, which, that's just I don't know if that's right or wrong, or if it's just a sign of respect, or it's just because of the society that we live in. It's pushed upon us that as men, we're responsible for things like this, right? We're responsible for the dates or for making things happen. And that is what it is.
Yeah, I feel like, society has always put the weight on men's shoulders that you have to pay for the first date. But believe me, nowadays, women, they will get offended if you don't accept the money. They'll be like, oh, I can, blah, blah, blah. But
I don't need no man. I can pay for my own shit.
Exactly. So might as well not to make them feel that way on the first date. And if she offers, great, split the bill. Yeah, actually, it's nicer like that, and you building that relationship up front. You're gonna be 50-50 on like especially on the financial aspect, at least. But on the first date, if she doesn't offer to pay, don't ask to pay for it unless you don't have the resources. But
right.
And also you shouldn't be afraid to ask if you don't have, but especially if it's an expensive date, because you don't want to go broke on your first date.
So that definitely, that comes back to the first date, right? So the first date shouldn't really be particularly expensive. You should be finding out this is somebody that you actually want to, continue seeing. And if you go out of your way to spend a lot of money on the initial date, that's just gonna, well, one, it's gonna set a bad precedence because now that's the baseline, right? Everything after that has to be at that level or
Better,
above.
yeah.
Also, you don't really, I don't know how to say it well, but
What?
I would say, yeah. So it's, if the first date is expensive, then shit. No, I lost it.
Yeah. I think what you mean is that if the first date is expensive, the other one has to be, better and more expensive.
Right.
So you kind of like setting a baseline for yourself, especially if you cannot afford it. If you just take her to an expensive date just to impress the girl, it's you're already kind of being dishonest with her, and at some point, like
I got it. So
but
the investment, it's the investment that you're putting in, right? So let's say you paying for an expensive date on the first one, you're putting in a lot of investment, and if it ends up not panning out, then you're gonna have this regret or
right.
this not even regret, resentment, because you put in your money, you put in your time, and you got nothing out of it. And
Oh, actually, it's very, very true what you just said.
yeah, and there's something to be said that if she doesn't like you, she doesn't like you. You can't be mad about that, right? But you can find that out without needing to break the bank. You can go on well, we have another topic here about what are some good first date ideas, but you don't have to go to expensive places in order to get to know somebody. Right?
Absolutely. You probably you don't even have to spend any money just walking on the park, getting
Pretty
to
much.
like the first
And if
date
you
is
end up,
usually go ahead. I feel like the first date is usually to connect with the person, to get to know her, and get to kind of like interact and see with the vibes. Like like you initially like you vibe with somebody as soon as you with the person with the like if you in the same room together, you're gonna vibe or you're gonna have something to talk about, and that's something that I look for in the girl. Like she has to challenge me intellectually, she has to be pretty and all that. But if I cannot have a conversation for a long period of time with her, I'm just gonna lose interest right away. So that's what the first dates are all about. And then later on, you start getting to know her a little bit more in depth, as in like like her favorite things to do, her favorite whatever, like more personal things. But the initial date is always going to be something that you both like, something that you guys can communicate. You guys can talk to each other and not just be in the awkward silence. And even if there are awkward silences, one of you is gonna break it and make
that's a good thing. Awkward silences aren't necessarily a bad thing. It's just
exactly.
it feels weird because you're not used to it, but it's actually a good thing. The last point that I want to add on before we move on to the next topic here is that if you end up finding out that you tell her that you're going to this inexpensive place, right, and she kind of gives you shit about it, that right there tells you what kind of person she is, right? She's the kind of person where she wants the highest quality of everything, and you don't even know her. So to that end, that kind of sets the precedence of what that relationship will be like moving forward. So, you got to weed out those gold diggers.
Absolutely, yeah. Definitely, that's a really good point that you brought up about if she accept whether she accepts or not to go on a date with you based on the price that you're going to be spending on the first date. It can say a lot about the person, whether like she's into you because of who you are, or because she's into you because of your status or like your money. So that's definitely another reason why you don't want to take her on a expensive first date, and that's why it should be affordable for you as well. All right, any last things to add up to this topic?
No, there's another topic here we have about some first date ideas, which we'll get into on another day, maybe even tomorrow. But don't make it expensive. That way you're not breaking the bank. If you do have to pay for it in full, if you're going with something that's a little bit more expensive, then see if you guys can split the bill, right? You at least want to see that she or they, because it doesn't have to be a girl, right? That they have some sort of investment. It's not just, oh, it's all going to fall upon you to, you know, pay for everything. And then, you know, for them, it's just going to be like a free lunch or something.
Exactly. Usually gears do that. Well, I don't want to touch it, but yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with that. That, you know, choose wisely on the first date. Also, I feel like you might consider going to a different, more expensive experience or a date if you both been talking together for maybe a while, right? You already got to know each other, or maybe it's a friend that you're getting out of friend zone with, and you agree before you go on the date to split the bill. For example, let's say you want to go skydiving for the first time. Skydiving is like $400 or $300 each, and each decides to, you know, like split the bill, then it's fine. That's completely fine if you already agreed, you know, upfront. But yeah.
Yep.
But
Right, I think
if
that's
you don't
good.
know the girl, if you probably just got her number, got to set up the date, not really got to know her well, nothing expensive, my guy. Something chill. Cool. All right, let's move on to the next topic.
So the next up we have how to become a personal trainer. So this one's basically just me just going to talk, and that's about it. Should only last us about 5 minutes here. So as it pertains to personal trainer or personal training, obviously this is after you've already decided that this is actually something that you want to do, right? The first thing you want to do is well, here's the thing. You don't actually need to be certified as a personal trainer in order to work as one. It's just looked upon in the industry as something that it's good to have, and it gives you some sort of backing in case there's any legal issues. If you end up doing something with somebody and they end up getting hurt and then they try to sue you for that, that's usually why you would have some sort of certification backing you. But to that end, if you don't want it, you don't really need to, because it's not really demanded. However, I would say that the first step is to become certified. And the way you can do that is online. You don't really have to go anywhere. Especially now with COVID, you can literally do that from home. You just type in personal training certifications on Google. A bunch of them will pop up. Usually the one that pops up first is the NASM. And that one, again, most of these certifications are the same. You're not really going to find too much difference between any of them. Most of what being a personal trainer is just development on the job. You need to develop yourself and the kind of people that you want to train and the style of training that you like doing. And you only figure that out through experience. Getting the certification it's not really going to help you with any of that. It's just saying that it's the same as getting a college degree. It's saying that you have a piece of paper that you can do this. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're good at it. Then after that, you should probably look into doing some sort of internship at a gym, or if you feel like you know people or you're good with social media marketing, you can start developing something online, right? The route that I went with was internship at a gym, which also came with certification. So that's another thing. Some certifications give you the opportunity to intern at a gym, which is what I did, and that's how I ended up getting my job at the gym. So that ended up being pretty convenient. But it's not necessarily the case. If you need an internship at a gym, all you do is type that into Google, gyms looking for interns, and then something will pop up, you apply, and wait for a response. The industry is usually looking for people simply because the turnover rate is so high. It's not uncommon to have a group of 10 trainers, and by the end of 6 months, only 2 of them remain. Because the job is, 1, very competitive, and 2, is based upon your personality and how good you are at the job. Like, how good are you at getting people results, right? So people need to like you, and you need to be good at your job. And that's sometimes really difficult to achieve by one person. So with turnover rate, there's usually a position in personal training anywhere. Now, obviously, with the trying times of COVID, it could be a little problematic, but obviously, once we're past this point, it'll probably start easing off a little bit, and people come back to training, and everything will start to go back to normal little by little. That's about it.
Nice, absolutely. So I feel like becoming a personal trainer is something as becoming like an instructor.
Hmm.
Like for example, I work as an instructor in mentor, right? And I don't necessarily have any certifications to do that. I just have the knowledge because I'm a computer science major. I know my stuff, and they when I applied for my job, they didn't require me any sort of certification as long as I knew the content and the curriculum is there. So you just like Randy mentions, you just put what you know in some of that tactics or methods that you think is going to work better, can work better, and you just implement it at work during the work, And of course, you get some training and stuff like that, but it is not necessarily to get the certification. So anybody can.
Competency goes a long way, man.
What's up?
You don't, competency. Like if you're good at something, that goes a long way. Because
Yeah.
let's say hypothetically you're competing with somebody and they have a degree or a certification saying that they can do this thing, but you can show your technical skills and you're better than them. That's what matters, especially nowadays, right?
Right.
So again, you don't have to be certified in order to be a trainer. It's just a good practice, but it's almost equivalent as to going to college in order to get a degree to work at a job. Maybe the job is saying that it requires that you need to have that degree, but sometimes if you know the right people and you're really good at the job, then you really don't need the degree. You just have to be good at the thing, at the job.
Yep. That's definitely true. All right. I don't have anything else to add to that topic.
No, that's it. We can jump right into the finance. We have trading commodities versus companies. So commodities versus stocks.
Commodities versus stocks. What do you got?
So we've talked a little bit about
commodities, right?
We talked about commodities, and stocks are just pieces of companies, right? But the thing with trading commodities is that it usually has a lot more volatility with it. I mean, you do it with trading gold, right? Usually trading leveraged ETFs. So they're going to move depending on how aggressive the leverage is. They usually move about 2 to 3 times more aggressively than what the commodities trading. So hypothetically, if gold is only moved like 1% on the day, then if you're trading a ETF, that's usually meaning that they've moved anywhere from 2 to 3 times that, and sometimes even more. Because I don't know if you ever caught those days where like gold is up 2%, but JNUG is up 15. So there's a discrepancy there where it's not always the same. Sometimes it is, but usually it's not. And that's usually due to like just low volume and the fact that the prices fluctuate so quickly. But as it pertains to companies, obviously you can have a similar thing, especially if you're trading like penny stocks. Penny stocks usually fluctuate in a similar fashion. But if you're trading like, blue chip companies that are big, that have a tendency of growing slowly. Nowadays, like an Amazon, right? Amazon grows very slowly now just because it's so big. Same thing with Apple, Microsoft. These guys, you're usually not going to see too much movement. So it's a little bit of a safer pick in terms of, investing and holding them in the long term. And as it pertains to trading, you're usually only going to trade good deals with these big companies. And that usually only happens every once in a while. Like one of the big ones now is Alibaba. Right? It dropped so much, dropped like 30% from its highs. And it's starting to finally begin an uptrend here, which is good. But that's going to be a slow uptrend. It could take a couple months before it gets back up to where it was before.
Right. So what is the difference between trading commodities and stocks? Now, in my opinion, what I've seen, trading commodities are usually less expensive because there are ETFs that represents, and you're gonna find the various variety of ETFs that have, for example, for gold, there's not only 1 or 2, but there's a couple of them. Or for like silver or like even like grain or like agriculture commodities. There's many things that you can trade. And the advantage of trading commodities is that you don't have to, bet and that it's going to do good, but you can bet that it's also going to be doing bad. So something similar to like options, like you put a call and put a put. So like you're trading, you pretty much betting that the company is going to do bad is that it's it's kind of like the same concept but differently, because you can embed, like you can trade the actual stock and and sell and buy at that specific price. So usually that's the main advantage I see, when it comes to trading. That's why a lot of people trade commodities rather than trading on a specific stock or specific companies, because in the companies you just have one ticker, which is the company, right? For example, Apple, there's only one Apple, and it's gonna either go up or it's gonna go down. So you only can trade that specific stock. Whereas in the commodities, if you do your research, there's going to be the inverse for it. They're very good. We talk about what commodities are. Commodities are something that we need, something that such as gold, what else? Oil, electricity. I mean, energy, petroleum, and all that. Those are commodities, things that you can need.
We use are like rare
Even
elements.
water is a commodity.
They're no, what are they? There used to be something. Limited resources, right?
Limited.
Something like that.
I wouldn't say limited resources. They're goods. Goods that you and I need.
Trade goods or things
Trade
you would
goods, yeah.
like. Hypothetically, imagine. Let's say we didn't have currency or money, the dollar. You would trade these things because they had value. So yeah, I would say that another thing with the trading commodities is the fact that they move a lot within a day sometimes. So you kind of have to keep your eye on what you're trading, but if you're good about it, they usually move enough for you to make some good profit on a day trade. As opposed to the bigger companies, they're slow. So maybe if you're trying to specifically day trade, you're not going to be able to usually make the profit that you want from big companies. But with commodities, you can usually make it pretty quickly and with less money, right? Because they're leveraged. As they're leveraged, you're going to make 2 to 3 times the amount of money. So you don't have to use as much. But that's still risky. It's a still risky play because they move a lot. So from one moment, you go from green to red because something happened. And that's just the nature of the game, man.
And just to expand it, commodities also include animals, such as calves, chicken, eggs, milk, oil, all this sort of stuff as well. All of those things are commodities. And, believe it or not, you can trade those things as well. Cool. All right, let's jump into the last thing of the day, which will be a news update. Oh, do you have anything else to add to the commodities?
No, that's pretty much it.
Okay, cool. All right, so some of the news updates for the day that I have here is that, markets were strong as a result of Trump signing the bill. So we have the FANG actually gaining pretty good percentage yesterday. So Facebook was up 3.6 after the markets closed. Apple, same thing, 3.6. Amazon, 3.5. Netflix at 1%, and Google at 2.1. We have another news regarding, Alibaba. If you noticed that it was taking a blow, like it crashed.
Back to back.
Yeah, it's going very low. The reason is because the Chinese government filed an antitrust suit against the Ant Group, which Jack Ma was. Not just Jack Ma. The entire Alibaba company was backing up or investing on the Ant Group. And was supposed to be like the biggest IPO ever in history, but he actually backed down from their IPO. And he officially told Ant Group to rectify to the company. So Ant Group will be forced to return to its origins as a payment service provider, and case operations related to credit, insurance, and wealth management, its fastest division. Baba posted an inside date after the stock sucked negative 13% in Tuesday short sessions, where Alibaba break necks. Well, we'll see what happens with Alibaba actually, because I have some money on that. JP Morgan Chase and Co. announced yesterday that will purchase the global loyalty division of CX Loyalty Group Holdings. What does this mean? JP Morgan will get access to their leading technology platform, travel agency, gift cards, merchandise, and points bank business. So CX Loyalty will operate as a unit with JP Morgan. Wow, JP Morgan is expanding. All right, airplanes go green. For the first time ever, the EPA will regulate greenhouse gas emissions for airplanes, something that we haven't really talked about because airplanes are one of the biggest industries where carbon dioxide is produced. Right? And Bitcoin, bro,
Stabilizing.
Bitcoin is non-stop. Pulled 20K yesterday, and goddamn, it's going up, like really up, you know.
I mean, it's stabilizing at 26, right? 26, 27.
Oh, I haven't checked actually, but yeah,
Yes,
I just checked that it went ultimate high yesterday, and also another thing too, Apple got to its ultimate high yesterday, like all-time high.
Actually no. So their ultimate high is 138.
Apple?
Yeah.
No, yesterday it passed 138.
Oh, it did? Okay.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it went down, but it passed yesterday.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So from my end, there's not really much to talk about. Everything's pretty much the same as Michael was discussing. With the passing of the stimulus or the signing of the stimulus by Trump, you know, that caused the market to rally pretty nicely, which is good. Not everybody got benefits from it. I saw a lot of it went to Apple. Like Apple was up big, while some other companies was up a little bit. And I saw a lot of companies down 5% or more. So, you know, it's not all green, but it's all coming up slowly. Trading is still going well, still with the same trades. Everything, I mean, nothing has really changed. Maybe the pricing is going down on it a little bit, stabilizing around 44, 45. But, you know, it's just the nature of the game. It takes time. You got to be patient. Right. So we've discussed it before with Peloton, right? So it goes up, then it pulls back aggressively, stabilizes, finds a support, and then it jumps up to new highs. So it's just really a matter of being patient, understanding why you're trading, and not letting your emotions get the better of you. And obviously, you know, having good risk management. If there's something that's like just completely stops going according to plan and you just stay invested in something that's no longer going up and doesn't have any sign of recovery for a long time, then you're probably better off taking the money out and finding something better.
Yeah, for me, I'm still trading gold. I was looking into trading the actual markets because it had a good run. So I'm looking for it to like go down a little bit. So I'm gonna see if I bet against the market either today or tomorrow. By the way, Friday the markets are closed, so we have only 2 more days to trade. On my trading with gold, I've been consistent with it. I actually put some money yesterday morning. It went really high. I didn't sell because I didn't have a, you know, what we call risk management. I should have taken profit, and then it dropped like really bad at JNO. And right now I'm sitting kind of like at the same level that I bought. So I'm just gonna wait for it to take a good run, or maybe put some money on JDST because gold is becoming a little bit unpredictable right now. But we'll see what happens on today's episode. But yeah, other than
all right. Anything else?
Pretty much it for today.
Sweet.
We will talk to you tomorrow. Peace out.
Arrivederci. Peace out.